Hello, you're watching Much Ado About Something, and I'm Donna. And today I'm doing a collaboration with Lynn from Bucket List Homestead. If you'll look in the description, you'll find all the other collaborators and a list of them and a link to their videos that they shared on the subject. And today's subject is what homesteading means to me or us. And of course, my channel is not solely a homesteading channel. I have my description of my channel is lifestyle, budget-friendly, home and garden, but the lifestyle certainly includes homesteading. Now I'll give you a little background on Donald and I. Donald and I live in the same little house that we've lived in here for almost 40 years, and we're on 1/4 acre of land. We're called urban homesteaders. We're in the city and we have city rules and city ordinances that we have to comply with here in the city. But Donald and I were both raised as homesteaders. I was raised in the Appalachian Mountains, and my mom was off-grid most of her life before she got married and started her own family. And my husband was raised on a farm. They were also homesteaders. They raised 98% of their food that they ate, and what they didn't raise, they fished and they hunted. That's truly homesteading. Well, we both had that mentality when we married, and so we have done that since we've got married. We focused on like having a homestead. Now, homesteading means to us, we are here in America, the Republic of America. You know, we are a republic government. We are for the people, by the people. And so we've had the freedom and the privilege to work really hard most of our life to pay for whatever we have and to work to provide for ourselves. So sustainable lifestyle is important to Donald and I, that we are able to sustain ourselves as much as possible. We don't look to anybody else. We feel like it's our responsibility to take care of ourselves as much as we possibly can. And so Donald has always been the main caregiver, the main provider. I am the homemaker. I have stayed at home the majority of our marriage. Now, I have gone out and had many jobs. I've worked out in the corporate world. I've worked in the business world in property management, restaurant management, and even had a few of my own businesses. But home has always been what I felt like was a priority. It was the main priority in my life, is making a home and raising our children and taking care of each other. So we're self-sustainable as much as we possibly can be. And here on this 1/4 acre, Donald and I have worked hard to grow as much food as we possibly can, grow as much of our own food on our little homestead here in the city as we possibly can. We are on the grid. We do use electricity. We have public city and sewer. And that is part of just being where we're at and being an urban homesteader. But I'll share with you some of the things that we do that are definitely homesteader. Now this morning, for my cup of tea, I had pine needle tea. I went outside, and from our pine trees, I gathered these pine needles. And I cut them up with orange peels, and I put them in this diffuser. And so my morning tea was pine needle tea. And the reason I chose pine needle tea is because it's rich in vitamin C. And I need that at this time of the year. If you've been around for a while, you know this is my tea cabinet that I've shared with folks before. Now these are elderberries. I bought elderberries a couple of years ago, and before ours started producing enough to do anything with. This year we got enough elderberries that I was able to refill this bag. And so I'll have enough elderberries to make our elderberry syrup. So part of homesteading for me is taking care of ourselves, grow our own food, and also make our own medicine. There are quite a few herbs in here that I have grown to make our own tea. And if I haven't grown them, then I foraged them from friends' property up in the mountains. Here are some roses that I saved from my own garden to make a rose tea and other herbal remedies and health and beauty aids. Here are my tinctures that I've got in here that I need a dark place to store them. So part of being a homesteader to me is taking responsibility for your own health and making the best decisions that you can to make remedies for you that are natural and wholesome and have good ingredients. Now, being raised Appalachian, I definitely remember a lot of those old home remedies that I was taught, and I have shared some of those in my videos on my channel, and I have more that I'll share in the future. Like the goldenrod tea, the comfrey salve, many of them, things that we use on a regular basis because we take responsibility to treat ourselves in the most natural, effective way that we can. And I certainly have used from my past those home remedies, and I grow a lot of herbs here on our property. I'll show you that in the front. Now, part of our being self-sustainable is cooking and making a lot of meals. This is a stew that I'm starting for dinner tonight. I'll be eating this for lunch, and then me and Donald will eat it for dinner tonight. So we cook. We cook 98% of our meals. When I'm cooking one meal, I'm planning for the next meal. That's how much I cook. So self-reliance is cooking your own meals. Now here are our front gardens. It's our front yard out here in the development. You can see there are many houses around us. We're surrounded by other houses. There's houses all the way around us, front, sides, and back. Here in our front yard, I have raised passion fruits from the passion fruit vine. And I've made jelly out of these this year. They were not only a beautiful addition to the landscape, but they were also delicious to eat. And this thing has produced unbelievable amounts of passion flowers. I have yet to get out here and do another harvest. I'm waiting on the grandchildren to get here because they love to help me harvest. In our gardens, I grow sage, which I make many dishes from sage. And I love to share those, and I can not hardly get out here without harvesting some of these herbs. But here's my little patch of sage, and of course it is real hardy, so it'll be back next year. I have an abundance of mint here. This is spearmint. This makes really good tea, so we were able to grow some spearmint, some mint right here, and it's not only beautiful, but I also harvest that and make sure I have it for teas. I have rose bushes that I harvest the rose petals and the rose buds off of, and I make health and beauty products with those rose petals and things, rose hips that come from our rose bushes. Here is our perennial herb garden. I have comfrey here, rosemary, lavender, lemon balm, thyme, and that's mostly what is in this herb garden. I use those to make tinctures and to make comfrey salve, rosemary to make a hair oil. There are many things that I use this small herb patch of herbs for. I lovingly call our little 1/4 of an acre here, I call it a micro farm because it's not really big enough to do much, but we do a lot with what we have. This is Ollie. He's our German Shepherd. We raise bunnies. So these are our little bunnies. These are our chicks, our chickens. We have 11 chickens. But they're Americanas. They give us fresh eggs every day. And this is our little garden plot. One of them to the two that we have here in the backyard. This is our last year was our first year of no dig and no till, and we loved it. We absolutely loved it. And we got a huge yield from this garden plot. Donald's got leaves on it now. We're going to add another layer of compost that we have. You can see right here is some lemon balm that decided that it wants to jump up in here. But our little garden plot here, this is where we get most of our vegetables from, our tomatoes, our cucumbers, our squash. Many things that we grow comes from this little plot right here. Here are elderberries that are on the outside of it. And there's a patch of elderberries on the other side, and Donald's already cut some down on this other end. Right here, he's cut these down. Our other little garden area here is ungated, and this is the things that we plant here that we want the children to come in and taste. We plant little tomatoes, Tommy Toe tomatoes. We plant cucumbers. We planted their pumpkins in here this year, and they each got to pick a pumpkin and have that. And so this is the little garden that I guess it's more of a teaching garden for our grandchildren than anything. We get a yield out of it, but we also let them come in and just explore it and pick what they want, and we don't worry, and we try to teach them a little bit about gardening. So that's what homesteading means to me. Self-sufficiency and teaching your family. We save seeds. These are seeds from marigolds that I'll be saving for next year. But I save many other kinds of seeds from our garden so we can be self-sufficient in that area. I make many of our health needs, many of our salves, our lotions, our odor, our air fresheners, many of our things. I make cleaners and things around the house. I do make some products, but I have found it easier in today's economy and the way things are today, that it's easier to repurpose something than it is actually to make it from scratch. For example, in one of my videos, I bought a shower curtain from a thrift store. When I got it home, it had shrunk and wouldn't go all the way across the shower. So I couldn't use it as a shower curtain, but I cut it up and I made good hand towels from that shower curtain. I repurposed that item. It didn't end up in the landfill, and it became useful for me. So I repurpose many, many things in that way, and that's part of homesteading for me. That's part of being responsible and making the most out of something. So that's really what homesteading means to me. It means taking care of your family and your home first, making it a priority, making sacrifices. Donald and I have raised our children. It was a sacrifice financially for me to stay at home and do that, but it was a priority. And I've tried to raise them and educate them and teach them to be good, responsible human beings for the community. And now they are on their own, taking care of their own families. And so that was a priority for us, and to be as self-sufficient as we can, to grow as much food as we can. Now, Donald and I are nearing, we are not spring chickens anymore. We have raised our children. They are all grown with families of their own. We have 3 children. We have 6 grandchildren. We are in the same starter home that we started out. We never dreamed that we would be here this long. But life has a way of having things, unexpected things that I can't go into on this video, and that will make you, you won't always be able to carry out your plans. But at this stage of our homesteading journey, we're not looking to expand. We're not looking to have more land and more things that we have to take care of. Now, in the future, that decision may change. But for us right now, being in the city is where we're at. And it's where we're doing our best to homestead. It's doing what we can with what we have. And I encourage anybody that's interested in homesteading, if that's where you need to start, then, and if that's where you're at, then that's perfectly okay. My mom, I did a video with her, and she's telling about her living off-grid before being off-grid was cool. And my mother they didn't have electricity and they didn't have running water in their house. They got that from a spring, and they worked hard for everything that they had. And so I do know that life. It's a very hard life. It's a very time-consuming life. Being a homesteader and doing everything yourself is a very time and energy-consuming life choice. So Donald and I have tried to have the best of both worlds where we're at. We have tried to use our homesteading skills that we got from our families, that we grew up with, and adapt them into our own life today. And for us, that includes living in the city. And we've made those choices to take as good a care as our family as we possibly can. And if we can't grow our food, we try to get it from local places like orchards and farms and even homesteads that are selling their goods in the area. We try to do the best that we can in that area. And that's what homesteading means to us, putting your home as a priority, putting your family as a priority, and accepting the responsibility to care for yourself and care for them as sustainably as you possibly can. And we work hard at doing that. And as we age, we don't know the plans for us. We're really at a stage where we haven't made very many plans. But we are trying to take responsibility for our health and for our life and do the best we can with what we have. Thank you, Lynn, for opening up this collaboration. And remember, if you want to find out what homesteading means to others, all the other collaborators will be in my description. Thank you for joining me today. And like always, until next time.